Social Justice Goblin here. Welcome to the backyard. Bailey poke the light. I love Bailey Heel's turn. Okay, so, I've been watching a lot of WWE Network, and they advertise, do this, don't watch that. They advertise it a ton. And I'm like, yeah, because when we were kids, we emulated the wrestling as teenagers. Thing is, with the internet, these guys smartened up and learned how the business works and learned how to dance. That's why when I see someone like Jerry Janelli and it says he's self-taught, I'm like, oh, that's synonymous that he was a backyard wrestler. Because you see, when I went to wrestling school, we would have backyard wrestlers who were amazing wrestlers. I mean, they could do the flips, they could do all the spectacular moves like the Hardy Boys could do. Because that was what was popular with the backyard wrestling crowds. The holy yes moments. Because they were emulating ECW type stuff. And it gets me wondering, what happened to backyard wrestling? And then I look at those commercials and I'm going, oh, the last thing WWE wants is a repeat of backyard wrestling. Because here's the thing, backyard wrestling, it produced a lot of great talent. I guess, I don't know. I mean, pretty much everyone in the business got their start at a wrestling school. Because, they taught you how to do this stuff safely, and they instilled the discipline of the industry in you. I mean, and it's all about heart and, not talking and, and respect. It's culture of respect. And, backyard wrestling doesn't have that culture. So it created friction, because Jerry Janelli was sneaking in at 15 to get into cards. I mean, because wrestling federations are like, I don't have enough talent, so I'll take you. I mean, the joke was talent would drive 50 miles for 2 hot dogs. Money was not a common commodity in the independent scene, to be matter of frank. It was it is what it was. I mean, and there was a thriving backyard scene with all the garbage wrestling that Cornette hates and all that extreme. Oh my God. I saw a Vice City one where they filmed one of those extreme, the guy had something shoved in his head. We're talking, Grover level of craziness. I mean, these guys, I'm like, you're playing with fire. Wow. Not my thing. I'm not into death matches. And that's Jerry Janelli is a death match guy. Backyard wrestling, anyone? And so AEW is still serving up that element of backyard wrestling that exists still as a wrestling fan that was prevalent in the Attitude Era. The hardcore fans were getting into ECW and and stuff like that. But you had to break into the business. You had to be able to show respect for the business, respect for the people in the business, and respect for your elders. If you wanted to make it, because you had to no matter how hard it was, you didn't give up. You kept trying. And I don't have the athletic background to be a professional wrestler. It's just not going to happen. I could manage, but not really. I prefer to ref. Because, I have to bump once in a blue moon, but a once in a blue moon bump is not going to hurt me. Bumping all the time will hurt you. It's scary. I mean, it's noisy in the middle of a ring, especially a loose ring. I mean, a tight ring, it's not as noisy, But when you're going down and you're thunk, 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 it's scary. And then you see today's holds and moves. I mean, I would do a Shepherder style. Because, and let someone, just know to put my hand and let the other person drive the dance, and stomp and, and just be a tough guy. I mean, but no, I still have to bump. And, manager, yeah, I have a personality for a manager, and, I know how to play the old school managers really well, because I love my old school, where they built a stable, and, they chase the champ, and, and all that stuff. So I was like, I'll be a referee. Because when I was at wrestling school, the only thing I liked doing was refereeing. But it's interesting that we're not seeing a resurgence of backyard wrestling. I'm kind of glad we're not seeing a resurgence of it. But all that extreme garbage stuff is leftovers from the Attitude Era and from backyard wrestling, really, and just ECW stuff. I mean, ECW was revolutionary for what it did. I mean, it completely changed. It made Stone Cold Steve Austin Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, it completely changed the landscape of wrestling that is still felt to this day. And in some very bad pay-per-views, mind you. But that's an interesting facet. Because, I've been thinking a lot of wrestling history lately, and that's an interesting facet of where did backyard wrestling go? It's gone. And WWE is doing everything in its power to prevent it from coming back. Because you have to go to a school. Back to life. But WWE is all about business, so they'll hire... If you can bring money in for WWE, they'll hire you. And pay you well. Because that's just the game. I mean... And you have to go to wrestling school for that. And you have to have respect for, all kinds... It's a ton of respect that you got to pay. And until you've earned their respect... And it takes a while. They're gonna just teach you, and they're gonna guide you. It's why I watch. I mean, they're gonna do a lot of conditioning on me because I need to lose weight. I have a hard time getting up and down, and you have to be able to get up and down fast as a referee. But I can get into certain positions that look okay. I've accommodated that, but I have to lose weight, and I mean, I am dieting like crazy. But yeah, there's no more backyard wrestling, and over time, that backyard wrestling crowd will continue to age and still like that stuff. I mean, ECW was a cultural touch point in the history of wrestling, and it took a bunch of stale product and made it fresh again. Because really, wrestling was still stuck in the 90s, was still stuck in the 80s, and we got the Attitude Era. And we got probably one of the great eras of wrestling, and we got The Rock, the master of the promo. I mean, come on. His finishing hold is the people's elbow. A friggin' elbow drop. And the rock bottom. Or the stinger, I mean, it's interesting to see the influence of backyard wrestling and the influences of ECW on the history of wrestling, and how we saw a historical change in wrestling, and we're still seeing those reverberations to this day. because the Attitude Era was a revolution. It was it changed wrestling completely. And ECW did that, and then there was Backyard Wrestling that was emulating ECW, and that's shot into its own hybrid of I don't even want to deal with. So, yeah. Or as Jim Cornette says, cosplay wrestling. They're just pushing the art form, Jim. Oh.